Hi friends, this is your pal Scott, and today we are going to talk about Magic the Gathering's 2026 release schedule, and I want to talk about it through the lens of Dungeons and Dragons, and let's talk about Marvel. Let's talk about Magic the Gathering, Marvel superheroes. So this is going to be the fourth release of 2026 right now. They may switch these up, but I'm pretty sure this is the order. Because they announced this through Hasbro, and it was big announcements. That's another thing. Hasbro's Magic the Gathering announcements are so powerful that they can farm them out to different outlets, right? As like exclusives, or there's like breaking news. There's actually a word for it where you are like actually breaking, you know, it's a big deal, which is pretty interesting. And so, like, for instance, one of the sets they're not gonna announce until October 10th, I think, is the date that they're coming out. But let's talk about Marvel superheroes. So, what is this thing? What does it mean for the Dungeons and Dragons community? Well, first of all, it is quite fascinating. All right, so let's talk about it. What is it? What does it mean? Let's get into it. All right. So first of all, the first one of these Marvel sets was Marvel Spider-Man. Now, what's interesting is I'm pretty sure this was booked at the same time as that Marvel Superheroes was booked at the same time as Marvel Spider-Man. Okay, and the reason why is there was not enough time. They what what logically you would think they would do is Marvel would be like, okay, you guys can make a Magic the Gathering set out of our one of our superheroes. Let's see how that goes, and then we'll maybe do a bigger deal. Maybe do a bigger, more broad deal, right? But Spider-Man 2025, Marvel Spider-Man Magic the Gathering release was in September 2025, and this announcement came within 1 week. So I don't think that they actually waited for the release. I think Marvel actually signed up for a broad spectrum of sets a long time ago, right? Like and that what they were doing, they were like, okay, let's do Magic the Gathering. And then, so why did they do Spider-Man first, and then they're going to do Marvel superheroes? Well, here you go. Actually, Spider-Man is Marvel's Batman, right? And for instance, in the middle of the plague years, Tom Holland's Sony Marvel combined Spider-Man movie made $1.8 billion. And now in 2020, and that was in 2023, right? In the middle of the plague years, right? Like when people were barely, when nobody was going out to theaters, right? Now in 2025, we just had we had a Superman release that didn't even do $750 million. We had 3 superhero movies in 2025. Not a single one of them could even do $1 billion. Spider-Man is at momentum. That thing is rolling, right? Hello, Wyatt. I am rolling. Yeah. So it is, Spider-Man is really major. So I think the reason they put out Spider-Man was they knew it would come out of the gate strong. I think both Hasbro knew it and Marvel knew it. And then in addition to that, I think they wanted to use Spider-Man as a practice before they, it's going to be tricky. It was tricky for them to bring Spider-Man to life through a Magic the Gathering set. This is not easy, right? First of all, you have to decide what's in, what's out, right? And there's 60, 70 years of history. That's not easy. Then you have to bring these characters to life through mechanics. And then you have to realize that you are connecting these characters to Dungeons and Dragons by canon. All that is a lot, right? And so I really think it's quite interesting that they're doing this. So I think they used Spider-Man as a practice that would be profitable. It was massively profitable. I they haven't put out any numbers, but I don't think you even need to wonder. Like, they are not having any problems with these collaboration IP sets. These things are just blowing off the shelves, right? So just colloquial, like, eyeball, this is what happened in my FLGS. I think this was very, very successful. Now we probably will get some numbers. We got some numbers for one of the biggest metrics that came out of the Final Fantasy set was that it made the $200 million in sales in one day. One day. That's incredible. All right, so the superhero one. The biggest thing here that is, so this is going to be, a wide array of Marvel superheroes. Now I will tell you right now, it will not even be close to all of the Marvel superheroes. I have the DK book. There are literally 1,000 superheroes and supervillains in Marvel, and I'll bet you we're going to get superheroes and supervillains in this. So you're probably only going to see 100, maybe 150 superheroes and supervillains in this set, right? And it's going to be all the heavy hitters, right? And actually, I will bet you that who's going to make it is probably the exact list within 5% of every hero and villain that was put into Matt Forbeck's Marvel Multiverse RPG, right? And again, I think, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this in context of Dungeons & Dragons is, I'm telling you right now, Dungeons & Dragons is massively overpowering Hasbro's other concerns. I do not think you can underestimate how powerful Dungeons & Dragons is in Hasbro. I don't think they have any intellectual property that is even remotely as powerful. You think I'm wrong there? Guess who the CEO of Hasbro is? The dude who was CEO of D&D. Like, it's a big deal. In 2024, there was this rumor going around that a multinational conglomerate worth $500 billion wanted to acquire D&D. Not Hasbro. Like, the international story was not some hey, maybe Hasbro's going to get acquired. It was like, this organization wants D&D. D&D is huge. I really think the only way to understand it is to think about Marvel in the 80s. Marvel almost went out of business in the 80s. But the reality is, its stock, its real value was completely misunderstood and massively underestimated. And I think it's the exact same thing with Dungeons & Dragons today. So that's my take on why we're getting Marvel superheroes. The biggest thing here is these are all the major hitters coming into D&D canon, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.